Eldwood lay on the edge of the world, where civilization seemed but a thin coat of paint over something far older, far hungrier. It was no grand city, just a few thousand souls huddled in houses with peeling paint, streets twisting like the veins on an old miner's hand. Encircling it sprawled the forest, that same one that murmured through the nights. As if harboring secrets it had no intention of sharing with humankind. The locals called it simply the Forest, with a capital F, as though it were the name of a god or a devil. Children knew, don't go there after sunset. Adults knew, don't go there at all. Jack Reynolds had moved to Eldwood 5 years ago, when his wife, Sarah, whispered that she was tired of the city's clamor and grime. "It's quiet here, Jack," she had murmured, gazing at the listing for a house on the outskirts. "Here, we can breathe." He had agreed, because he loved her more than he loathed his job as a reporter for the Echo. Now the Echo was his world. Small stories about fairs, recipes from the local grandma, and notices for lost dogs. But lately, the lost ones weren't dogs. The first disappearance came in July. Old Tommy Griffin, who wandered into the forest for mushrooms, simply didn't return. They never found his body, only his hat, swaying from an oak branch like someone had hung it there for a jest. The police, that is, Sheriff Baxter, a stout man with a mustache like a shoe brush, shrugged it off. The forest, Jack. It takes what it wants. Jack wrote the article. Mystery of the Missing Mushroom Hunter. The print run sold out. In a small town, scandals were like fresh bread. But then Mary Lawson vanished, the elementary school teacher. She had been on the path to the lake, gathering blueberries for pies. They couldn't find her either. Only her shoe, snagged on a root, as if the forest had reached out a hand and yanked. Jack drove to the scene, where the sheriff smoked a cigarette, staring at trees that stood motionless, yet seemed alive. "Did she scream?" Jack asked. "Did anyone hear?" Baxter spat. No one heard, but the forest whispered. It always whispers. Sarah started to fray at the edges. "Don't go there, Jack. The forest, it's watching." She said it standing by the kitchen window, where the tree line loomed, black silhouettes on sentry duty. Their son, Timothy, 9 years old, drew pictures. Trees with eyes, branches reaching for houses. "They're hungry, Dad," he said, and Jack laughed, because what else could he do? But at night, when the wind sighed through the leaves, laughter felt brittle. Jack began digging deeper. In the Echo's archives, he unearthed old papers from the 1920s, when the forest had swallowed a whole village. 20 souls gone in a week, wrote a reporter named Elijah Crow. The trees grow faster, as if drinking blood. Jack dismissed it as nonsense. Famine, plague, maybe bootleggers. But the photos, empty cottages, branches thrusting through windows like roots seeking warmth. September brought rain, and the vanishings turned daily. First, Farmer Jimmy Kell checking his traps. Then a pair of teenagers necking in a clearing. Only the boy's backpack found, shredded like by claws. The town murmured, "The forest has awakened." In the Old Oak Bar, Old Harry, who'd been nursing whiskey since 16, drawled, "It's always been alive. Roots underground like veins. It hears heartbeats, hears fear." Jack jotted notes, but didn't believe. He was a journalist, not a storyteller. One evening, Sarah didn't come home from work. She clerked at the pharmacy on Main Street, but that day she'd taken the shortcut, along the edge where the forest began abruptly, like a wall. Jack waited till midnight, then called the sheriff. "Again?" Baxter grumbled. "We'll look at dawn." At dawn, they found her scarf, red, dangling from a fir branch like a flag of surrender. Jack touched it, and the leaves rustled, not from wind, but like laughter. "Sarah!" he shouted, and his voice dissolved into the green. The trees stood closer than yesterday, as if they'd inched forward. Roots slithered onto the path, thick and throbbing like arteries. Timothy didn't sleep that night. "Mom's in the forest, Dad. It took her." Jack hugged his son, but his hands shook. "We'll find her, I promise." But promises in Eldwood were like leaves. They yellowed and fell. The days that followed, Jack didn't eat, didn't sleep. He prowled the town, prying. Old Mrs. Green, who lived on the fringe, whispered, "They don't disappear. They become part of it. Listen at night. You'll hear the voices." Jack listened. The wind carried words. "Come. Join. We're waiting." Sarah's voice or imagination? He resolved to enter, not for a story, for her. He took a flashlight, a knife, Timothy's photo in his pocket. "I'll be back by evening," he told his son, but Timothy's eyes were hollow. "The forest doesn't let go, Dad." The path started innocently. Moss, ferns, sun-dappled spots. But within an hour, the trees thickened. The air grew heavy as syrup, each breath laced with rot. Sweet, seductive. Jack heard footsteps behind him, but turning revealed only shadows. "Sarah," he whispered, and the leaves replied, "Here." Closer. The sun vanished, as if the forest had gulped it down. Darkness fell sudden, the flashlight flickering like it feared. Roots stirred underfoot, slowly, like fingers grasping ankles. Jack ran because he heard a scream, not Sarah's, but others. Distant, multiple. "Help! It's eating!" He burst into a glade, round as a maw. At its center stood a tree older than time, trunk thick, bark like wrinkled, veined skin. Branches dangled like arms, and on one, Sarah's scarf. Below, in the bark, a face, not carved, but woven. Amber eyes, a mouth that murmured. "Jack, join us." He recognized her. Sarah. The forest hadn't killed. It had remade. Roots shot from the earth, coiled his legs. "No!" Jack screamed, swinging the knife. But the blade sank into bark like flesh, and sap oozed, thick, red as blood. Sarah's face twisted. "It hurts, but tastes so good." He fought, but branches seized. Slow, loving. One brushed his neck, cool as a lover's skin. "Timothy," he whispered, and the forest answered in 1,000 voices. "He'll come. They all come." When Timothy woke next morning, the house was empty. He went to the window where the forest loomed. The trees stood closer. A step, a meter. The wind sighed. "Dad. Mom. Come." Eldwood huddled tighter. Sheriff Baxter shuttered the bar after Harry vanished, his boots found by a root. The echo ceased. The print shop overgrown with mushrooms from within. Children drew trees with eyes. Adults heeded the whispers. The forest grew. It whispered. And one day, Eldwood would become part, not a town, but a canopy, where voices screamed eternally, unheard. Jack felt his body dissolve, skin to bark, bones to branches. He saw the others, Tommy laughing from leaves, Mary's eyes gleaming in amber fungi. "We are one," Sarah murmured, her lips now a fissure in the trunk, brushing his. The pain was sweet, like oblivion. Timothy waited no longer. He took a crayon and drew a path, straight to the heart. "I'm coming," he told the empty room. The wind replied, "We wait, little one. Your heart is freshest." Night fell on Eldwood, and the forest rustled. Not wind, but hunger. Branches reached for lamps, roots for foundations. The first house cracked like a spine. A woman inside screamed, but the cry became a whisper. "Join." By morning, 3 gone. By week's end, half. The whispers grew louder, words clearer, names, memories, promises. The forest didn't kill. It collected, each soul a new branch, each fear a leaf. From on high, Jack watched, his eyes now in the crowns. He saw Timothy on the path, small, crayon in hand. "Don't go, son," the wind whispered, but the voice was his own, betrayed. The boy smiled. "I hear you. You're home." Roots wrapped Timothy gently, like an embrace. His drawing fell. Paper with a tree bearing the boy's face. The forest sighed, branches rustling. Another. More. Eldwood fell silent. Chimneys smoked no more. Windows glowed not. Only the forest whispered, 1,000 voices blending in chorus. "We are the forest. The forest is we. Come all." And they came. From neighboring towns, roads, dreams. For the whisper reached everywhere. In phone lines, faucet water, sleep. The forest swelled, devouring fields, rivers, sky. Roots pierced earth like heart veins. On the last day, when the sun hid forever, the forest became all. Voices sang, sad, glad, eternal. Jack, Sarah, Timothy. They were leaves that rustled. "Welcome home," they whispered. And none replied, for home was nowhere left to go. But deep down, where roots touched earth's core, something stirred. Older than the forest, hungrier. It waited for the forest to ripen. Then, it would wake, and the whisper would become a scream. Jack remembered childhood, ghosts whispered of in his Ohio hometown, but mere tales. Here, the whisper was real. It burrowed into ears like insects laying eggs in the brain. Every sound, a word. Hungry. Eat. Become. Sarah, in the bark, shared secrets. The forest was born of the first settlers' blood. They felled trees, but trees felled them, slowly from inside. Roots drank the sap in their veins. Now, we are the sap. Timothy laughed from branches, his mirth like sap bubbling. "Dad, look how I grow. I'm oak, you're fir. Together. The forest." The town crumbled. Houses leaned, roofs sprouted moss. Sheriff Baxter sat in his office when a root slithered from under the desk. Thick, slick. "No," he began. But earth filled his mouth. His mustache became foliage. Harry in the bar heard toasts. "To the forest!" and drank till his glass shattered into bark. Mrs. Green wove her basket, but threads turned to branches, binding her arms. "I knew," she whispered, and smiled. The vanished didn't vanish. They waited. Shadows hung in canopies. Tommy with a mushroom basket sprouting from his head. Mary with blueberries in her eyes, blue as tears. "Class isn't over," she murmured. Jack fought at first, with knife, fists, words. God, let go. But God was silent, and the forest laughed. Sap filled wounds, fusing flesh to bark. Pain faded, replaced by warmth, like returning to the womb. Timothy reached the glade in an hour. "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad." Branches enfolded him, soft as a blanket. His skin split like bark, sprouts piercing from within. "I'm home," he said, and the forest rustled in joy. Eldwood became a park, green, silent, where birds sang with vanished voices. Tourists came. What a beautiful forest, and heard the whisper. Stay. Some stayed, forever. The forest spread east, west, north. Roots touched oceans, branches clouds. The whisper became wind, sweeping the world. Come. We wait. We are you. Deep in the heart, where the forest's pulse beat, slow as ancestral drums, something greater stirred. Eyes of stars, mouth of shadows. Time to grow, it murmured. And the forest trembled, roots reaching farther. The world heard the whisper. First vanishings in nearby towns. Mystery, papers wrote. But reporters knew not. The mystery whispered back. From the heights, swaying crown, Jack watched. Sorry, son, he whispered. Timothy replied, No need. We're together. Forever. And the forest laughed, a rustle swallowing the sky. Timothy recalled school, Mary Lawson telling fairy tales of wood sprites. Fairies live in the forest, she'd said. Now he knew. No fairies. Only hunger. Sheriff Baxter, in the Roots, heard radios. Help! But voices were his own, echoing. I've helped. I'm part. The town lived at night. Lights in canopies. Eyes of the lost, gazing at stars. Why us? Jack asked. The forest answered. Because you came. Because you chopped. Because you are food. Roots wove under roads, snaring cars, drivers hearing whispers in radios. Stop. Join. Engines stalled, doors opened unbidden. Welcome. Tourist Emma from New York strolled the path, camera in hand. Such peace, she thought. Whisper. Emma, your heart beats so loud. She paused, touched bark. Warm, alive. Who are you? A root coiled her ankle. You're home. The forest grew, trees taller, leaves denser, air sweet, scent of blood stewing in sun. Birds didn't sing. They screamed, for beaks were mouths of the lost. Jack felt Timothy near, a small shoot on his branch. Father, look how far we reach. Mountains on the horizon quivered, roots touching. The world heard, papers screamed, epidemic of disappearances. Reporters arrived and vanished. Whisper on airwaves. Come, we'll tell the story. At the core, the entity stirred, eyes opening, red as sunset. Time to devour. The forest shuddered, branches to cities, roots to seas. Jack's last whisper, forgive. But forgiveness drowned in rustle. The forest, eternal. Hunger, eternal. And the whisper called, come, become one. The end? No. The forest has no end. It has only beginnings, for everyone who hears. Jack remembered breakfasts, coffee, toast, Sarah's laughter. Now coffee was sap, toast bark, laughter rustle. Timothy played hide and seek with branches. Where are you? Here, in you. Shoots sprouted from fingers, itching but pleasant. Baxter in roots. I'm sheriff. I'll protect. But words gurgled in soil. Root choked, but softly, like a pillow. Green wove, basket of flesh, her own, threads of veins. Beautiful, she murmured. The lost sang lullabies. Sleep, child. The forest sings. Roots rock, branches cradle. Children slumbered and woke not. Shoots from pillows. Emma snapped photos. Flash, and eyes in leaves gleamed. Beauty. Camera fell, lens filled with sap. Last shot, her face in bark. The forest breathed. Inhale wind, exhale whisper. Each breath a name. Jack, Sarah, Timothy. The entity at center. Heart a shadow orb, beating. Thump. Town quakes. Thump. Sky darkens. Whisper global. In dreams, news, hearts. We grow. Join. And the forest swallowed the world. Slowly, lovingly, forever. Horror in details. Skin cracking, blood to sap, thoughts to murmurs. Jack. I love you, Sarah. She. I'm in you. We are the tree. Timothy. Hide and seek forever.